Are you feeling overwhelmed and not knowing what type of EV to catch in the event right now? Well, allow me to lend you a helping hand. For those of you that don't know, there is an event right now going on in Scarlet and Violet involving EVs with all different kinds of Terra types to be spawning in the raids all around Paldea. This is going to be ending on the 27th, so you still have a bit of time to get in and get your EVs. Now these are really easy to find. If you look at your map, there'll be raid dens that are glowing. These are the EVs, you really can't miss them. Even the crystals themselves have a glow about them. But this can be really overwhelming. There are so many different options to catch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single Eeveelution and talk about the best Terra types for each of those Pokemon. Now I'm going to name a few different options for each here because when it comes to terrestrialization, there is so much room for creativity. Now before we get started, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone. The growth lately has been incredible and I feel so honored and touched by every single one of you. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me, and if you like what you see, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Okay, now let's dive right into this. First up, let's start with EEVEE itself. Now, if you were to use EEVEE, I guess because it's cute and it's fun, I'd be assuming that what you'd be going for is some kind of statusing set, maybe to charm the enemies, lower their attack, set off a yawn, baton pass into a Pokemon. I'd assume it would be something along those lines. So the best option for that would be a ghost type. Being a ghost type would allow you to dodge moves like fake out and get off those annoying yawns or charms. Now if you wanted to go big brain, you would turn into a dark type so that prankster Pokemon could not taunt you and you would still get those moves off. It's so much fun coming up with all these ideas. Now you could always just become a normal type and try to spam last resort, but I don't know why you would, but hey, it's always an option. Now next up, let's talk about Jolteon. Now Jolteon is a really cool Pokemon, it just has a really big problem hitting ground types. So what I truly believe to be the best Terra type for Jolteon would be Ice, by far. Ice would allow you to hit those ground types with Terra Blast and get rid of those pesky grass types that also resist your electric moves. This coverage would give Jolteon such an amazing place where it wouldn't have anything that can really switch into it. Kind of like the old Hidden Power Ice days, but stronger. Another option for Jolteon would be a flying type. You could dodge those earthquakes by jumping up into the air with the balloons and hit those grass types super effectively. Not to mention that Jolteon has the ability Volt Absorb, meaning that your newfound weakness to electric has now turned into something that will heal you. This is starting to feel like a mini Thundurus. Next, let's talk about Vaporeon. Now Vaporeon is a water type by nature, so the obvious choice here is to turn into a grass type to deal with other water types, to be able to take them out a little bit easier. You'll also be able to resist those electric and grass moves that will be thrown at you as they're the only weaknesses to water. Though that's not thinking big enough for us. What I'm thinking is that we could go a fire type on Vaporeon. To me, this is a really strong set. Vaporeon has the ability Water Absorb, meaning that now your only weaknesses would be ground and rock. But the beauty here is you retain your water stab on your attacks, so you have those to deal with those Pokemon. Yes, on the offensive side, you'll struggle to hit those water types, but they won't be able to touch you thanks to Water Absorb. I think this set could be really menacing. Another type I was thinking for Vaporeon was actually Psychic. Now Vaporeon learns a move called Stored Power. Stored Power is a move that does more damage the more stats you have boosted. Vaporeon also has a lot of stat boosting moves. I don't think this would be the meta set, but I think this would be really fun and actually quite powerful. Now next up, let's talk about Flareon. Now when I think of Flareon, I think of guts boosted facades. And that means that I think the best Terra type for Flareon is probably actually a normal type. Defensively, you'll only have one weakness to fighting, you'll gain a ghost immunity, and you'll get stab on your guts boosted facades. Just the idea of this is actually terrifying to me. I also think that going into a grass type would be really strong as you get the ability Flash Fire, meaning that defensively you still wouldn't be affected by fire types, but you'd now gain the offensive pressure to deal with those water types thanks to Terra Blast. But honestly, if you were to just go fire on Flareon, the ideal of a Terra Fire boosted Flare Blitz with Flash Fire or Guts, either one proccing with a Choice Band, sounds so destructive, and it's something I'm definitely going to be trying out. Next, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Eeveelutions, and that is Umbreon. Now honestly, what I think would be the best thing for Umbreon would be to turn into a poison type. One of the ways players tend to whittle down an Umbreon is by toxicking the Pokemon, but you can't toxic a poison type, so you'll become immune to this. Not to mention that Umbreon's natural weaknesses are both fighting and fairy, two things resisted by poison. It'll even give you the offensive pressure with Terra Blast to deal with those fairy types. Honestly, you could even become a fairy type yourself. Fairy is a really good typing. Though the idea of just staying as a dark type and hitting Terra Dark boosted foul plays on enemy Pokemon setting up sounds crazy, and it's something I'm looking forward to trying out myself. Now let's talk about Espeon. I truly believe that Espeon's best Terra type is going to be Fire. Espeon has really strong moves, though it can't really hit Steel types. Gaining the Terra type of Fire would allow you to hit them with Terra Blast, and you'd also gain a resistance to one of your weaknesses being Bug, which is very common in the move U-turn. You could also go Dark to deal with those annoying Ghost types running around, because Ghost is a really strong typing, and having the ability to go into a Dark type will really benefit you. You will remain weak to Bug, but you will gain resistances to both Dark and Ghost, and you will be able to hit Ghost types really, really hard. So if you wanted to counter Ghost directly, you could just go into a normal type, because Espeon actually learns the move Shadow Ball, so you could become immune to those Ghost type attacks and hit them back with super effective damage. Now, just like Vaporeon, Espeon learns Stored Power, and it's already a Psychic type, so getting those moves boosted by Terra typing into a Psychic type itself sounds pretty scary. Okay, so let's talk about Leafeon. Now, Leafeon is actually a really cool one. Leafeon struggles to hit those Fire types, so becoming a Water type would be really beneficial to this Pokemon. Not to mention that if other Water types switch in on you, then you have that Grass stab to deal with them. And if other Grass types try to threaten you, Leafeon has access to X-Scissor, which will hit them for super effective damage. Though what I think would be truly amazingly cool for Leafeon would be turning into a Fire type. Leafeon gets the ability Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll doubles your speed in the sun. Now, having double speed in the sun and having boosted Stab Fire Terra Blast sounds incredibly fun, and it's probably a set you'll see that's really, really strong, and I can't wait to try this out myself. Next up, we have Glaceon. Now, I personally believe that the best Terra type for Glaceon is probably a Fighting type. Now, the reason for that is this gives Glaceon tools that it hasn't had before. Glaceon was often walled by a lot of Steel types, but with the Fighting type, Glaceon will gain the ability to hit them super effectively. It will also hit those pesky Rock types that threaten it super effectively, and it will be able to take down other Ice types with super effective damage. I think fighting Glaceon is going to be a menace. Now, I think Fire could accomplish similar things and would be another pretty cool way to run Glaceon. Though again, running it just as an Ice type sounds pretty cool to me too. Choice Spect Blizzards that can't miss in the new Snow mechanic sounds incredibly fun. Last but not least, we have Sylveon. Now, honestly, this is my genuine opinion. I believe that the best Terra type for Sylveon is to actually stay as a Fairy type. Sylveon has an ability called Pixelate, which is where it gets a lot of its power from. Running something like Choice Boosted or Pixie Play, Terra Boosted, Pixelate, Hyper Voices on Sylveon sounds so incredibly strong that it could actually become meta. Sylveon has always been a scary offensive threat, and now it's gonna be even stronger. Though I do think turning to either a Poison or Steel type to deal with other Sylveons could be something really great as well. Honestly, when it comes to the Eeveelutions, there is so much room for creativity and diversity here. Even when I sat down to think about it, I couldn't think of a one best type for all of them. The new terrestrialization mechanic has so much potential, and I'm really excited to try all these out. So go grab all of your Eevees in the event and come back here and leave me a comment. Tell me if you tried any of these sets out, or tell me if you found really cool sets on your Eeveelutions. I'd love to try out some cool sets that you guys have come up with, and even post videos of it here on the channel. So as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.